G'day, I'm Tim Thompson and I'm excited. Today I'm putting the UHI UME90 through its paces. Now this 8.5 tonne excavator with a 63 horsepower Yanmar engine promises to take a lot of the dramas out of owning an excavator on a larger property or in a collection of properties. You see, with one lever you can lower a set of wheels and do over 20 kilometres an hour on good tracks. The 5-speed transmission allows you complete control over your speed and it operates like a car. With its compliance plates, it allows you to register this piece of machinery as agricultural equipment. This, of course, means no more floating of your excavator. Now, of course, we need to find out whether this is up to the task. I've got Glenn, a local excavator operator that's well respected here in the Yarra Valley, to come out today and put it through its paces in a few real-life situations. He's going to be fixing up a dam wall and a couple of other things, and we're going to put this machine with its bucket attachments through its paces and see what he thinks of it. And don't forget, guys, if you like this kind of content, hit the subscribe button, give it a thumbs up. There's plenty more on timthompson.ag. Let's get into the review. Glenn, how are you, mate?
Yeah, good, Tim. How are you? Good to see you.
Mate, it's brilliant to see you too. You're my very own trained excavator operator. You're here to help me with this review. Thank you for doing that.
No worries at all.
Now, you run a number of excavators around the valley?
Yeah, we've got a 6-tonne machine, a 14-tonne machine and a 23-tonne machine. And
traditionally, what brand do you sort of have allegiance to?
we're not loyal to any one brand, so we're running Kubota, Case and Caterpillar.
And what do you look for mainly when you're looking for excavators, apart from the obvious engine and hydraulics quality?
You know, Japanese built normally.
Yep.
And the price is a factor.
Yep.
And we always buy good low-hour second-hand equipment generally. You know, 5-year-old, maybe 3,000-hour machine that's still in good order.
And you do a lot of your own maintenance and things like that?
Yeah, I was a mechanic for 20 years, so I did my apprenticeship on cars and light commercials, but I've sort of, you know, trained myself to service most of the earth-moving equipment in a reasonably successful way.
So you're not only an operator, but you're also spinning the tools on these machines to keep them going?
Yeah.
So what are you looking for when you look at a new machine like this, 63 horsepower Yanmar motor, 8.5 tonne total weight? What are you looking for when you look at a machine like this? Yeah,
I'm looking for good major components, being, you know, Yanmar engine, of course, very proven engine that's been around for a long time. I'm also, you know, the hydraulics, being Rexroth, good quality hydraulic system, and just generally the general build and the structure of the machine.
Now, you've had a quick look around the machine. What are your initial thoughts and what are your questions so far that you've got?
Yeah, I'm pretty impressed with the way that the machine looks like it's been fabricated. You know, it's nice and strong in the front area here. The welding looks very neat.
So the gussets and pins and everything are welded well, and they look like they're reasonable?
Good. Yeah, I'm pretty impressed, Tim, to be honest.
So Glenn, you've got a few positives there. What are some of the questions that have been developing in your mind as you've had a look around the machine?
Just driveline quality. We know that the engine's, you know, proven and the hydraulic system, but just driveline quality, I'm not sure on drive motors and differential and that side of it. And I suppose we won't know until 2,000 or 3,000 hours
down. You don't know until 2,000 or 3,000 hours, do you?
Down the track. So could be fantastic, just not 100% sure, because
there's no brand name associated with that stuff.
No brand name that we know anyway.
Yeah. Now, for an 8.5 tonne machine with tracks and wheels coming in at 85,000, is that a good price point?
Very fair. Yeah, very fair.
Considering the package that's on offer here.
Yeah. For that size machine, it's well and truly very competitive.
Well, here's the keys, mate. Why don't you go and hop in the cab and give us your initial impressions of the cab?
No worries.
And then we'll get you to start it up and take off.
Yep.
So what are the initial impressions there, Glenn?
There's a steering wheel in the way. And yeah, the tracking levers are obviously spread apart because of that reason. And finish of the cab looks fairly good.
Yeah, you're a little bit surprised by that. You've had a look at some Chinese excavators in the past.
Yeah, I have. Yep.
This seems to be a little bit better than what you've seen.
Yeah, I'm sort of pleasantly surprised actually. Yeah, I've sat in a few of these Chinese machines, and the build quality on the interior has been very, very ordinary, and this one looks quite refined actually. All the switches on this side for the wipers and headlights, and that look good quality, and yeah, not too bad.
Now, LCD screens, you've got a comment to make about those?
Yeah, just we find that in comparison to some of our Japanese machines, the LCD is quite dull and not clear, and in the brightness of sunlight in the summer, you know, I know it will have a brightening and adjustment on the screen, but it's pretty average, and the screen itself is probably half the size of what you would see on a major brand machine.
And what price point would you be comparing that with?
About $140,000.
So for 60 grand more, you do get a much better LCD screen.
Yeah, true.
All right, mate, we'll start her up and have a go.
Yep.
See what you think.
No worries.
Well, Glenn, initial observations, taking it across the ploughed paddock. How did you go?
Yeah, pretty good, Tim. I was surprised. I thought I would put the wheels down and give it a try.
Yeah.
Because I thought we were going to have to track probably that 300 metres total all the way, and actually the wheels did drive in the cultivated ground. And
that's surprising, isn't it?
It is. We've had quite a bit of rain here as well, so we went about 50 metres and then it got a bit soft, and I thought, oh, we'll lift the wheels up again and track.
How did the tracks go?
Tracking was good. It's got 2-speed, of course.
Yep.
And I was able to cycle the hydraulics through all the motions on the way across.
Yeah, I saw that you were slewing across.
Yeah,
and
slewing and cycling the boom, and it didn't take pressure away from the drive motors, which is unusual on a lot of machines. It'll start tracking sideways once you try and do them boom movements. So
right, is that because they cut costs in hydraulics and things like that?
Yeah, I'm not certain on the way this one's set up, but I was pleasantly surprised that you can actually track and cycle all the systems without the thing really changing at all in the tracking.
So it's on par with the more expensive sort of premium machines?
Later model, yep, more expensive machines, yep.
Well, that's a good indication to begin with.
It is good, mate, yep.
Now tell me about the job that you've got here, because we're going to have a look at you doing the job here.
Yeah, we've got a dam leakage here, just a small hole in the wall, and we know where the hole is on the water side.
Yep.
It's coming out sort of on a 45-degree angle, quite a long way away from maybe the Abbey hole that started last year.
Okay.
So we're just going to do a bit of searching along this side of the wall and just locate, see if we can find the spot where the water's coming out.
As an experienced operator, what are your observations, mate? Positives and negatives?
Well, I'm pleasantly surprised coming out here today. I wasn't sure what to expect, but the machine digs really, really well.
Yep.
And it's sort of on comparison with a number of other sort of size machines that I've operated. Hydraulically, it moves well.
Yep.
It seems to
have good buck force and all of those.
Yeah, it seems to have good breakout force, but I mean we're not digging super hard ground here at the moment, but it is still quite dry. The ground being near the trees.
And you went through a few tree roots and dislodged a few rocks in there. And didn't cause you drama?
No dramas at all. The cabin space getting in and out is possibly a bit of an issue for a bigger person. I mean, once you're in there, it's fine, but the initial getting in and out and the steering wheel makes it a bit awkward. But you just move that column forward, which helps a little bit. But yeah, I'm fairly convinced, Tim, that it operates very, very well, and the vision is a big highlight. The aircon works okay, but the decibels in the cabin,
even with the door closed.
Yeah, it's getting up there.
Yeah,
it's getting up there. But
so who do you see as the ideal buyer for a machine like this?
Yeah, I see someone, that's probably got a couple of 100+ acres. That wants to get around the farm and be able to, travel efficiently without having to put it on a trailer or on a truck.
Yep.
And it would be an absolute hurler for that sort of thing, because you just lower the wheels and away you go, and that 700-metre tracking that we did there a short while ago would take sort of up to 15 minutes to do normally.
Yeah.
And we were down here in 3 or so minutes, I suppose. So if you had 1,000 acres and you were having to move a few kilometres at a time on firmish ground, it'd be an absolute.
And that's going to save wear and tear on your tracks and all the components, isn't it?
Totally. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's it's a mid-sized machine, but quite versatile in the way of it's still got a bit of reach and enough grunt to dig some reasonably hard material. But you're not going to take on a massive project with a mid-sized machine like this, but it's well and truly capable, and even for doing smaller work as well, because it is that mid-sized machine.
Well, Glenn, that was a quick job.
Yes.
Mate, it got down there pretty quick. There's some decent-sized rocks in that as well, isn't there?
Yeah, she's a bit of a blend of all materials, this dam. I think would have been built many years ago, and yeah, she's got a bit of, you can see a layer of subsoil and topsoil in there between the natural ground and the dam wall, but we have actually found a bit of a hole. I can see there's obviously tree roots which have been chasing water, which is not ideal either, but we've got gum trees only 5 or 6 metres away there, so but yeah, the holes certainly will continue right through the water line, so that's probably something that we'll really investigate, and we'll dig right through the wall and just follow that hole and reinstate it.
And you said you found another one as well?
Yeah, and looks like we've got probably a wombat hole here, which has come over from over that other side of the bank. So
wombats and dams don't get along, do they?
They certainly don't.
Now, you were a little bit initially concerned about the height of the cab off the tracks, because it's been lifted up to accommodate these wheel mechanisms that are retractable.
Yeah.
You still have reservations about operating on slopes, or are you feeling a bit more confident with the machine?
After operating now, I think it feels more stable than what I was expecting.
Yeah, you were expecting a teetoter, weren't you? Yeah.
And especially travelling down the road there, you know, I went into fourth gear and it did feel more stable than what I was expecting. Because you're concerned a bit about the height, but you know, we haven't put it on a real angle yet to know how comfortable you would feel.
Yep.
Pleasantly surprised.
Pleasantly surprised at stability. Well, that's a good thing, because that's one thing that people will notice is how high this machine physically is.
Yes. Yep.
Now, in terms of the engine bay and accessibility for maintenance, being a mechanic of 20 years experience, what are your impressions?
Pretty good. This motor is north-south due to having the gearbox. It sort of opens it up to better access to both sides of the engine. So, you know, you still got to jump up on top to do some of the maintenance, but the actual access, especially to this side, is very, very good.
So, Glenn, the UME90, 3 positives?
The travel speed is
really
really
positive,
good,
isn't it?
and the machine does feel quite stable.
Yep.
Even, you know, at 15 k's an hour, which we were going today, it feels quite good. The digging power I like, and the hydraulics seem very smooth and quite fast.
What about 3 negatives, mate? What are 3 things that concern you?
3 negatives, the noise in the cab is a little bit on the high side, so you definitely want a set of earplugs if you're operating for more than a couple of hours, or turn the radio up. The access getting in and out of the machine is not quite wide enough for mine.
Swarthy athletic types like us don't have a problem, but the larger guy might.
Yeah, he might struggle a little. You can move the steering wheel forward, which helps a bit, but it's still a little bit narrow on the way the cab's designed. And just having the steering beam and mechanism in front of you when you're digging is a bit of a negative to me.
So it's that trade-off for travel speed, is you've got what gives you that travel speed.
Yeah.
So you're saying you're losing about a metre or so of bucket per hour?
Yeah, so if you want to dig close to the cabin, which traditionally you would be able to with your blade behind you, you can't do that on this machine. But it's only small things, you know. You're going to be able to track backwards. You know, you can still make it work.
So for the target market, which is your farmer with a couple of thousand acres, or job sites where there are commutes between that have to be taken into account regularly, 85 grand, worth it?
Yeah, really good.
Well, thanks very much, Glenn. I really appreciate your time and your honest and unbiased opinion of this machine, albeit with a small amount of time in the seat.
Yep.
So with Glenn gone, it was now down to the rank amateurs to see what we could make of this machine. There were some spoon drains to be dug. There was a causeway to be built with appropriate plumbing. And then there were some gateways to clean out and various other repair jobs to be done around the farm. The really critical thing about this machine is the ability to be able to travel rapidly without needing a truck between one small job and another small job on a large property. And that's where this is really shining. Well, the sad news about this review is I've got to give it back. I don't want to. This is a phenomenal machine. Being able to travel at 21 k's an hour with the wheels down, being able to lift at least a tonne in weight off the bucket. I reckon I could have even gone further. Despite its height, it is incredibly stable. The Yanmar engine puts out plenty of power for the hydraulics on the machine, and because they're good quality hydraulics, the controls are super easy to use and get used to. This little machine could be a game changer on large properties with lots of small maintenance jobs that you don't want to get a contractor in for every second week. Guys, don't forget, if you like this kind of content, hit the little subscribe button, give it a thumbs up, and there's plenty more on timthompson.ag. I'll see you next week. Unfortunately, without my new best friend.